We begin tonight in Washington. U.S. President Joe Biden has welcomed his French counterpart Emmanuel Macron to the White House in the first state visit of Biden's presidency. The two leaders spent the day together ahead of a lavish White House dinner, which is scheduled for this evening. Talks are focusing right now on the war in Ukraine, but President Macron also wants to discuss trade. He's accused Biden's U.S.-focused climate policy of hurting France's economy. The two leaders agreed to work closely on energy and climate issues moving forward. And both presidents repeated their commitment to support Ukraine in its battle against Russia.
Today, we reaffirm that France and the United States, together with all our allies, all our NATO allies and European Union and G7, stand as strong as ever against Russia's brutal war against Ukraine. We talked a lot about that in our bilateral meeting. And we'll continue to strong support to the people of Ukraine as they defend their homes and their families and their sovereignty and territorial integrity against Russian aggression, which has been incredibly brutal.
And those sentiments echoed by the French president, who gave special thanks to the U.S. for its support for Ukraine.
We clearly condemn this war immediately. We led all the diplomatic actions to condemn this war, the war crimes committed by Russia on the Ukrainian soil, and we support both the Ukrainian army that is resisting, the Ukrainian population resisting as well. And please allow me here to very much thank the United States of America for all the support provided.
Strong words there from both leaders, reiterating their commitment to Ukraine. I asked our very own Michaela Kufner in Washington what this continued support is going to look like moving forward.
There is more, and there's actually a joint statement that the two leaders issued after their very long talks, which went on for more than an hour longer than initially planned. And they put it in writing that there will be robust, direct financial, budgetary support coming, and that they will continue to support Ukraine's capabilities for defense, particularly air defense capabilities, that there will be significant assistance to help the Ukrainians get through the winter. And there's a lot of focus on essentially cash coming Ukraine's way. So we have seen this in recent months that actually shorter than a weekly basis, we see more and more pledges of either finances or military support coming through. There's also talk, not in here, not in this press conference, but of the US wanting to train more Ukrainians, potentially in Germany. So if anything, those efforts to support Ukraine are being ramped up. But interestingly, we also just heard Joe Biden say that he would be willing to sit down and talk with Vladimir Putin, most likely on the phone, if there actually was some kind of view towards ending the war. We know that Emmanuel Macron, he said it himself, is planning on talking to Vladimir Putin over the coming days.
Yeah, that is definitely a change in position. We know that that was not a possibility at the G20 summit in Indonesia just a couple of weeks ago. Besides Ukraine, what else stood out to you in this press conference between the two leaders?
I just want to add on potentially talking to Vladimir Putin. He would only do it if NATO leaders agree together with his partners. So that is a caveat there. What else they had to talk about is actually what is a looming rift, economic rift between the European Union and the US, with Joe Biden having pushed through legislation, huge green infrastructure investment that specifically excludes companies that are based abroad, that are not manufacturing in the US. That was a huge pressure point that saw Emmanuel Macron essentially accusing Joe Biden of endangering, potentially creating a rift in the West there, of destroying a level playing field. Now, we've seen little concrete headway here, but we've seen Joe Biden say that it is the intention to create jobs in the US, yes, but not at the expense of Europe. And how that can be prevented is now being pushed into a working group, a workforce. So Emmanuel Macron doesn't come home with a concrete plan, but a pledge that there is an intention of not destroying jobs in Europe and just shifting them towards the US. But that is essentially an outcome of the Ukraine war, together with high energy prices, much higher energy prices in Europe. There is industry already moving from Europe this way and also to China.